In the heart of the Andromeda Galaxy, the planet Lumeria shimmered like a jewel suspended in the vastness of space. Its landscapes were a harmonious blend of vibrant colors, where luminescent flora illuminated the night with an ethereal glow, and the gentle waves of shimmering seas danced under the light of twin moons. The air was filled with a sweet fragrance, a mix of floral notes and the salty tang of the ocean, creating an atmosphere of tranquility and magic. It was here that Queen Isolde reigned, her presence as radiant as the planet itself. Isolde stood atop the balcony of her opulent palace, her long silvery hair cascading like a waterfall over her shoulders. Dressed in an intricate gown woven from threads of starlight, she gazed out at her beloved kingdom, her emerald eyes sparkling with warmth and compassion. The people of Lumeria adored her. They often spoke of her beauty in reverent whispers, as if she were a celestial being descended from the heavens. However, beneath the surface of their admiration, a current of jealousy and envy flowed, hinted at in furtive glances and hushed conversations among the nobles. "Your Majesty," a voice interrupted her reverie, pulling her back to the present. It was Lord Elric, one of her most trusted advisors, his brow furrowed with concern. "There are rumors circulating among the court. Whispers of dissent." Isolde turned to him, her expression softening.
Dissent?
"Among my subjects? Surely they do not wish to disrupt the peace we have worked so hard to maintain. There are those who believe your beauty has drawn the attention of forces beyond our control," Elric replied, his voice laced with urgency. "They fear your power and envy it." Isolde sighed, her heart heavy with the weight of her responsibilities. "Let them whisper, Elric. I will not let paranoia dictate my reign. I have always sought to rule with kindness. If they cannot see the good I strive for, then perhaps they do not deserve my concern." Meanwhile, on the rugged planet of Vorten, a different story was unfolding. Kael, a skilled space explorer with tousled dark hair and piercing blue eyes, rummaged through the remnants of an ancient ruin. The air was thick with dust, and the walls were adorned with faded murals depicting long-forgotten tales of power and magic. Kael's heart raced as he brushed away the debris, revealing an artifact nestled deep within the stone. It pulsated with a peculiar energy, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly light. "What do we have here?" he murmured to himself, reaching out to touch the artifact. As his fingers made contact, a surge of energy coursed through him, filling him with an inexplicable sense of purpose. "This must be connected to the legends of Lumeria," he thought, his mind racing with possibilities. The tales of the enchanted queen had always captivated him, and now, it seemed fate had led him to something of great importance. With newfound determination, Kael set his course for Lumeria, unaware of the dangers that lay ahead. The galaxy was a treacherous place, filled with hidden conspiracies and ancient magic, but he felt an undeniable pull toward the luminous planet and its enigmatic queen. As he emerged from the depths of space and into Lumeria's atmosphere, Kael was met by a sight that took his breath away. The festival celebrating Queen Isolde's reign was in full swing, color and laughter spilling into the air like confetti. Stalls adorned with flowers and lights lined the streets, and the sound of music and merriment echoed around him. Yet, amidst the joyous celebration, Kael's keen senses detected an undercurrent of tension. He maneuvered through the crowd, his eyes scanning for Isolde. When he finally spotted her, standing gracefully among her subjects, he felt a jolt of admiration. Isolde's beauty was more stunning in person, a captivating blend of strength and grace, her presence commanding yet warm. However, his moment of awe was interrupted by a hushed conversation he overheard between two noblemen standing nearby. "Did you hear the latest? There are plans in motion to undermine the queen," one of them whispered, his voice low and conspiratorial. "The queen's beauty has made her a target. We must act before it's too late," the other replied, glancing around nervously. Kael's heart raced as he realized the gravity of the situation. The whispers of betrayal he had sensed earlier were not mere shadows. They were real threats against the queen he had come to admire. He knew in that moment that he could not stand idly by. He had to investigate further, to uncover the truth behind the conspiracy that threatened to unravel the peace of Lumeria. With resolve surging through him, Kael stepped deeper into the festival, determined to protect the queen and the enchanted world that had captivated his heart. Kael moved silently through the opulent halls of the royal palace, the golden light of Lumeria's twin suns filtering through stained glass windows, casting colorful patterns on the marble floors. He had always been adept at navigating treacherous terrains, but evading the guards of the queen's palace felt like a different challenge altogether. His heart raced, not just from the thrill of stealth, but from the anticipation of what he might discover. The whispers of conspiracy echoed in his mind, urging him forward. As he entered a secluded section of the palace, the air shifted, filled with a palpable energy. He could hear the soft rustle of leaves and the faint sound of flowing water. Following the sounds, he eventually found himself in Isolde's private garden, a hidden sanctuary where nature seemed to flourish under her gentle touch. The garden was alive with colors. Flowers glowed in hues that Kael had never seen before, and delicate vines danced as if they had a consciousness of their own. In the center of the garden stood Queen Isolde, her silhouette framed by the vibrant flora. She was enchanting, her long, flowing gown shimmering like starlight. With grace, she extended her hands, and the elements responded to her will. A gentle breeze swirled around her, lifting her hair as she whispered incantations that made petals swirl in the air. Kael felt an unexpected pull towards her, mesmerized by her beauty and the power she held. "Who dares intrude upon my sanctuaries?" Isolde's voice cut through the tranquility like a dagger, firm yet melodic, sending a jolt through Kael. He stepped forward, heart pounding. "It's me, Kael," he said, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "I mean no harm. I'm here to help." Isolde narrowed her eyes, the challenge in her demeanor unyielding. "Help? Or spy? The palace is rife with traitors, and I cannot afford to trust easily. I overheard something. 2 noblemen plotting against you. I had to come and investigate," he replied, his voice steady despite the tension. "Your kingdom is in danger, and I believe the artifact I found holds the key to understanding it." Isolde regarded him for a moment, her expression shifting from suspicion to contemplation. "The artifact," she murmured, her gaze drifting to the vibrant flowers that surrounded them. "It is said to be connected to ancient powers, but its true purpose is shrouded in mystery. If what you say is true, we must uncover this conspiracy together." Kael nodded, relief flooding through him. "But we need to tread carefully. Whoever is behind this plot is watching." With a subtle wave of her hand, Isolde summoned the breeze to carry the scent of the flowers, creating a barrier of sound to mask their conversation. "Very well, Kael. If we are to collaborate, I will share what I know," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The artifact is believed to unlock a force that could either save or destroy Lumeria. There are those who would wield such power for their own gain." As they spoke, Isolde's eyes shone with a mix of determination and fear. Kael felt a surge of admiration for her. She was not just a queen, but a formidable force in her own right. "We should return to the ruins where you found the artifact," she suggested. "It may hold more secrets than we realize." The pair set off toward the ancient ruins, a place imbued with history and magic. As they traversed the lush landscape, the air grew thick with an ominous energy. Kael couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, the shadows growing longer as they approached their destination. Upon reaching the ruins, they were greeted by crumbling stone walls entwined with vines, remnants of a time when magic reigned supreme. The ground was littered with shards of glass-like crystals that sparkled ominously in the dim light. "This place feels alive," Kael remarked, scanning their surroundings. "But it also feels haunted." Isolde nodded, her expression grave. "It is said that dark magic lingers where powerful sorcerers once held sway. We must be cautious." Together, they began to explore, uncovering symbols etched into the stone that pulsated with energy. Kael's heart raced as he pieced together the fragments of history, realizing the depths of the conspiracy they were entangled in. "Isolde, look at this," he said, pointing to a carving that depicted a sorceress cloaked in shadows, her hands raised as if casting a spell. This could be a warning. As they delved deeper into the ruins, the air crackled with tension. The conspiracy was more profound than they had anticipated, and the shadows around them began to shift, hinting at the dark forces that sought to disrupt the peace of Lumeria. Kael and Isolde exchanged glances, a silent agreement passing between them. They were in this together, and the stakes had never been higher. The air around the ancient ruins was thick with an eerie stillness as Kael and Isolde stepped deeper into the remnants of a time long past. The walls, covered in vines that shimmered with a faint bioluminescence, whispered secrets of the sorceress who once wielded immense power. They knew this place held the key to unraveling the conspiracy, but it also promised trials that would test their very souls. "Are you ready for this?" Kael asked, glancing at Isolde, whose expression was a mix of determination and uncertainty. "I have to be," she replied, her voice steady. "If we are to protect Lumeria, we must face whatever awaits us here." As they moved forward, the atmosphere shifted. Shadows danced along the stone, and the very air crackled with magic. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them, and the ruins morphed into a labyrinth of illusions. Walls spiraled and twisted, creating an overwhelming sense of disorientation. "Stay close," Kael shouted, reaching for Isolde's hand. But as their fingers interlaced, the world around them exploded into a kaleidoscope of visions. Kael found himself standing in the heart of Vorten, surrounded by the cold and rugged terrain of his home world. The familiar sights gripped him with nostalgia, but the scene was tainted with anguish. He watched as his past self, a younger version, stood before his parents, who looked at him with disappointment. "Why can't you be more like your brother?" a voice echoed, piercing through the illusion. The words cut deeply, and Kael felt the weight of expectation crush his spirit. "Kael, focus." Isolde's voice broke through the haze of memory. He turned to see her struggling against her own vision. Before her stood a reflection of herself, cloaked in darkness, embodying every doubt she ever harbored about her beauty and strength. The shadow taunted her, its voice dripping with malice. "You are nothing without your magic. Just a pretty face, a puppet of power." "No," Isolde cried, her voice strong yet trembling. "I am more than what you see." With a surge of defiance, she extended her hands, channeling the magic of Lumeria. The shadows recoiled, but the illusion remained powerful, wrapping around her like chains. Kael felt the urge to break free from his own haunting past and assist her, but the vision held him captive. "Believe in yourself, Isolde," he called out, channeling every ounce of his resolve. "You are the queen, and your magic is a part of you." The words struck a chord within her, igniting a fire that pushed against the darkness. "I am the queen. I am Isolde," she declared, her voice resonating with authority. The illusion shattered like glass, and the dark figure evaporated into mist. As they regained their bearings, a sense of clarity washed over them. They had faced their fears and emerged stronger. "That was intense," Kael said, catching his breath. Isolde nodded, her eyes shimmering with newfound strength. "I understand now. My beauty is intertwined with Lumeria's magic. It is not just a gift. It is my responsibility." Their bond deepened in that moment, forged through shared trials and revelations. Kael looked at Isolde with admiration. "You wield a power far greater than I ever imagined." Before she could respond, the ground shook once more, and the labyrinth shifted again. Shadows morphed into the figures of the noblemen Kael had overheard at the festival. They emerged from the darkness, their eyes cold and calculating. "So, the queen and her little explorer have come to play," one of them sneered, a smug grin stretching across his face. "But you're too late. The true power lies beyond your grasp." Kael stepped forward, adrenaline surging through him. "We won't let you harm Lumeria." The nobleman laughed, their laughter echoing ominously in the ruins. "Foolish boy. You think you can stop us? The sorceress's legacy belongs to us now." With a swift motion, They drew their weapons, and the air crackled with tension. Kael and Isolde exchanged a determined glance, knowing that their newfound alliance would be tested in this moment. Together, Isolde said, her voice firm. Together, Kael echoed, as they prepared to face the nobleman, hearts racing and spirits ignited by their resolve. The battle for their lives and the fate of Lumeria had only just begun. Isolde and Kael stood on the edge of the ancient ruins, the remnants of the past whispering secrets of power and betrayal around them. The air crackled with tension, and the shadows cast by the fading sun seemed to loom larger, reflecting the gravity of their mission. They had narrowly escaped the ambush by the nobleman, but now they faced a new challenge, finding the ancient oracle who could guide them to the source of the sorceress's power. "We need to act quickly," Kael urged, his voice steady but laced with urgency. "If the noblemen are already aware of our investigation, they won't hesitate to strike again." Isolde nodded, her expression resolute. "I agree. The oracle is our best chance at understanding the sorceress's magic. If we can find her, perhaps we can uncover how to stop this conspiracy once and for all." As they began to traverse the rugged terrain surrounding the ruins, the path ahead twisted through dense forests, where bioluminescent flora illuminated the darkness with an otherworldly glow. The vibrant colors were mesmerizing, yet Kael remained focused, aware of the dangers that lurked in the shadows. "Tell me more about this oracle," Kael said, trying to keep the mood light despite the weight of their task. "What should I expect?" Isolde smiled faintly, her eyes shimmering like stars. "The oracle is said to be a wise creature, a guardian of ancient knowledge. Some say it takes the form of a great beast, while others claim it appears as a shimmering light. But one thing is certain, it carries the wisdom of ages." Kael chuckled softly. "A guardian of wisdom, huh? I suppose I'll have to bring an offering. What do they eat? Star fruit?" "Perhaps," Isolde replied with a playful glint in her eyes. "But I think it's more about intentions than offerings. The oracle requires sincerity and bravery. It senses the truth within us." Their banter eased the tension, but as they continued their journey, the landscape grew more treacherous. Jagged rocks jutted from the ground, and strange, magical beasts roamed the area, their eyes glowing with curiosity. Kael found himself on high alert, scanning the surroundings for any signs of danger. "Isolde," he said, his voice low, "are you sure we can trust the oracle? What if it leads us into a trap?" Isolde paused, her gaze steady. "Trust is a difficult thing, especially in these times. But I believe the oracle exists to protect Lumeria. If we approach with honesty, it will reveal what we need to know." Kael sighed, feeling a mixture of anxiety and admiration for her unwavering faith. "You're braver than I am. Sometimes I feel like an outsider in this world, like I don't belong." Isolde turned to him, her expression softening. "You belong here, Kael. You've shown courage and integrity. You've fought alongside me against the nobleman, and you've supported me in uncovering the truth. You are not just an outsider. You are my ally." Her words resonated deeply within him, filling the cracks of his insecurities. "Thank you, Isolde. That means more to me than you know." As they pressed on, the terrain grew increasingly hostile. A sudden rustle in the bushes caught Kael's attention, and he instinctively moved closer to Isolde, ready to defend her. Out of the shadows emerged a creature with shimmering scales and piercing eyes, its presence both majestic and terrifying. "Stay back," Kael warned, positioning himself in front of Isolde. But Isolde stepped forward, her hands raised in a gesture of peace. "We mean no harm. We seek the oracle." The creature paused, its gaze shifting between the two. It seemed to ponder their words, the air thick with anticipation. After a moment, it lowered its head, revealing a path that wound deeper into the forest. "Follow me," it said, its voice deep and resonant. "The oracle awaits." Isolde and Kael exchanged glances, a mixture of relief and determination flooding through them. They followed the creature into the heart of the enchanted woods, their hearts pounding with a mix of apprehension and hope. After a winding journey, they emerged into a clearing bathed in ethereal light. At the center stood a colossal tree, its gnarled branches stretching toward the stars like fingers reaching for the heavens. Beneath its roots, a shimmering figure materialized, a swirl of light and shadow that coalesced into the form of the oracle. "Welcome, seekers of truth," the oracle intoned, its voice echoing with the weight of ages. "You have journeyed far, and your intentions are pure. But know this, the answers you seek will come at a cost." Isolde and Kael exchanged a glance, the gravity of the moment sinking in. They had arrived at a turning point, and the consequences of their choices would ripple far beyond this encounter. The oracle's gaze pierced through them, unraveling their fears and desires, and the air thickened with the promise of destiny. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue across the lush landscape of Lumeria, Queen Isolde stood at the edge of the royal courtyard, her heart racing with anticipation. The final confrontation with the sorceress loomed ahead, a dark specter that threatened to engulf her kingdom. Beside her, Kael adjusted his gear, his brow furrowed in concentration. The air crackled with tension as they prepared to unite their forces against their common enemy. "Isolde," Kael began, his voice steady but urgent, "we need to ensure that all our allies are ready. If there's even a hint of discord among them, it could mean disaster." Isolde nodded, the weight of her responsibilities heavy on her shoulders. "I know, Kael, but trust is a fragile thing, especially when fear is involved. We must inspire them, remind them of what we're fighting for." With a determined expression, they made their way to the gathering of allies in the palace's grand hall. Noblemen and warriors from both Lumeria and Vorten filled the space, their faces a mix of resolve and apprehension. As Isolde took her place at the front, the murmurs faded, and she felt the eyes of her people upon her, searching for strength. "Today, we stand together against a threat that seeks to tear apart everything we cherish," Isolde proclaimed, her voice echoing against the stone walls. "The sorceress has sown seeds of discord, but we will not falter. We are united not just by our ambitions, but by our shared desire for peace and prosperity." A ripple of applause broke out, but it was accompanied by whispers of doubt from the back of the hall. A nobleman with a pointed chin and sharp eyes stepped forward, his voice dripping with skepticism. "And what if your magic fails us, Queen? What if we are led to our doom by your illusions of grandeur?" Kael felt a surge of protectiveness over Isolde. "We're not here to debate your fears. We're here to face them. If you believe in the Queen and her magic, stand with us. If not, you can leave now and save yourselves the trouble." The nobleman scowled but retreated, and Isolde shot Kael a grateful glance. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the rising chant of agreement that swept through the hall. The bond between them, forged in adversity, shone brighter than ever. As the sun dipped fully beneath the horizon, the group set forth, marching toward the dark forest that bordered the ruins where the sorceress awaited. The path was fraught with danger, but their spirits, now ignited by hope, propelled them forward. When they finally reached the clearing bathed in the dim glow of the moonlight, tension hung thick in the air. Shadows danced among the trees, and the atmosphere was heavy with the remnants of dark magic. Isolde took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the land beneath her feet. "This is it," she murmured to Kael. "We confront her here." Kael nodded, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. "Stay close. We'll face whatever comes together." The silence was suddenly shattered by a cackling laugh that echoed through the trees. The sorceress appeared, her form cloaked in swirling shadows, eyes glowing with malevolence. "Ah, the Queen and her brave little explorer. Did you think you could disrupt my plans so easily?" Isolde stepped forward, steeling herself against the dark energy radiating from the sorceress. "Your reign of terror ends today. You will not take my kingdom or my people." The sorceress sneered, a flicker of amusement dancing in her features. "You're naive, Isolde. Your beauty is your curse. It blinds you to the truth. I will show you despair beyond your wildest nightmares." With a flick of her wrist, she unleashed a torrent of dark magic, enveloping Isolde in a whirlwind of shadows. Kael lunged forward, but the energy held him back, forcing him to watch helplessly as Isolde struggled against the illusion. "Isolde," he shouted, desperation clawing at his throat. "Fight it! Remember who you are." In the depths of the illusion, Isolde felt her vision cloud with dark images of failure and loss. But Kael's voice broke through, a lifeline amidst the chaos. Drawing upon the strength of her allies and the bond they had forged, she focused her thoughts, battling against the despair that threatened to consume her. "Kael," she whispered, her voice almost lost in the cacophony. I can't break free." "You can," he urged, his eyes fierce with determination. "You are more than your beauty, Isolde. You are the heart of Lumeria." With a surge of willpower, Isolde reached deep within herself, channeling her magic, the essence of her kingdom, and the love of those who believed in her. The shadows began to waver, and the illusion fractured, revealing the truth beneath the sorceress's dark spell. Just as hope flickered in Isolde's heart, the sorceress's laughter echoed ominously. "You think you can escape? You'll regret this." As the battle raged on, Kael knew he had to act. The fight for Isolde's freedom and the fate of Lumeria lay in his hands. As the battle raged around them, Kael's heart raced with adrenaline. He had seen Isolde enveloped in despair, a mere shadow of her radiant self, trapped in the sorceress's cruel illusion. The air crackled with dark magic, and the cries of warriors echoed, but Kael's focus remained solely on the queen. He remembered a fleeting moment shared between them, a discussion about her beauty and the magic that coursed through her veins. In that moment of desperation, he grasped the artifact they had discovered together, its glow pulsing with energy, as if it were a heartbeat. "Isolde," he called out, his voice rising above the chaos. "You have the strength within you. We can break this." Drawing upon the memories of their shared experiences, Kael concentrated on channeling the power of the artifact. He could feel it resonating with Isolde's essence, a connection that transcended mere words. "Remember your magic, Isolde. It's tied to who you are." Suddenly, the artifact blazed with light, illuminating the darkened battlefield. Kael closed his eyes, focusing on weaving the threads of Isolde's magic through the glowing energy. Visions of Lumeria's beauty flashed in his mind, the luminescent flora, the shimmering seas, and the warmth of Isolde's laughter. He envisioned her standing strong and proud, wielding her power not just as a queen, but as the embodiment of her world. With a surge of determination, Kael thrust the artifact towards Isolde, directing the swirling magic toward her. "Take it. It's part of you," he urged, his voice filled with urgency. As the light enveloped her, Isolde's eyes flickered open, revealing a fierce determination. The illusion shattered like glass, and a burst of radiant energy erupted from her. She stood, no longer a captive of her fears, but a queen reborn in power. "Kael," she exclaimed, her voice echoing with authority. "You believed in me when I could not believe in myself." Rejuvenated, Isolde turned her gaze toward the sorceress, who stood in shock, her dark energy faltering in the face of Isolde's brilliance. The sisters' eyes locked, and in that moment, it became clear that the battle was not just about power, but about the painful history that had brought them to this point. "You were always the favored one," the sorceress spat, her voice laced with bitterness. "While I was left to rot in the shadows. Jealousy has consumed you," Isolde replied, her voice steady and firm. "But it doesn't have to end like this. We can heal what has been broken." The sorceress hesitated, the darkness around her flickering as doubt crept in. "Heal? After everything I've done?" "Yes," Isolde insisted, stepping forward, a beacon of light amidst the chaos. "We can choose to break the cycle of hatred. I refuse to let our past destroy us any longer." As the battle around them slowed, the warriors paused, sensing the shift in energy. Kael watched, heart pounding, as Isolde reached out her hand. The sorceress looked torn, her face a mask of anger and pain. "You think I can just forget?" "I don't want you to forget," Isolde replied softly. "But we can learn from it. Together, we can restore balance to Lumeria. You are my sister, and I will not fight you. The sorceress's facade began to crumble as tears welled in her eyes. Sister, she whispered, her voice breaking. I thought you were gone forever. I thought I had to fight to reclaim what was taken from me. Then let us reclaim it together, Isolde urged, stepping closer. The air crackled with potential, and for the first time, the sorceress faltered, the darkness around her dimming. With a final, tremulous breath, the sorceress loosened her grip on her dark magic. The shadows receded, and a soft light began to emanate from her, mirroring Isolde's own. I choose to let go, she choked out, the weight of years of resentment lifting from her shoulders. As they stood together, the sisters united by blood and magic, the battlefield transformed. Bright light enveloped them, washing away the remnants of darkness. Kael felt a warmth spread through him, a sense of hope blooming anew. Isolde and her sister, now stripped of their enmity, turned to face their allies. Together, we shall lead Lumeria into a new era, Isolde declared, her voice echoing with newfound strength as Kael stepped forward beside her, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Lumeria would heal, and so would they, under the vast and watchful stars.